and it begins.
Welcome to episode 10 of Checkmate. Today's episode, we will be diving into a little more of the street, the New York street gangster. We're going to tap into that a little bit before we move on to the next state. Like I said, we're going to be traveling the states, getting a little bit of history in, and then we're going to go in the reverse on some positive influences in these same states. All right. So what's up, SA? How you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. How about you? I'm living.
Same here, doing well. All right, who we got up first?
Got X and his convicted killers.
Okay, so XXXTentacion was killed several years back while out purchasing a motorcycle with his uncle. He was basically ambushed. Um, Evidently, the plan was in effect the moment they saw the young man and recognized him. To me, it seems as if, how would they have known that he had money on him? I guess because he was buying a bike or whatever, but it's just real odd that they knew he had money on him, like that kind of money on him. Because I've went and bought vehicles and used my credit card. So it's just real odd to me. But anyways, these young men were convicted and every single one of them has gotten life in prison. So this case is wrapped up. All of the hoopla behind the case is going to slowly start to die down. And I'm glad they apprehended the young men. That was pretty fucked up how they did that. But again, how the hell they know he had money on him? How would you know? Like, how would you know? I wouldn't know. Like I said, when I went and bought a vehicle with a credit card before, several times actually. Um, so how did they know? Interesting, very interesting. Who we got next, SA?
Got Tory Lanez.
Okay, so I guess everyone knows the verdict is in on this young man, Tory Lanez. Let's keep the picture up while I comment on what's going on. And then let's throw a little picture gallery as we speak. So Tory Lanez, as everyone knows, is not an American citizen. Tory Lanez is from, if I'm not mistaken, I know he's from Canada, but I'm thinking he's from T-Dot. I'm thinking he's from Toronto. So, in Toronto, they pretty gangster as well. They're pretty gangster as well. And then you know how,
He's from Brampton,
I'm sorry,
Canada. Brampton, Canada.
Brampton, Canada. Okay, so he claims Toronto though. He claims T-Dot. The thing about the Canadians are they got a rep for being soft, so it seems like to me they overcompensate whenever the opportunity presents itself. So if you got an American close by, I believe they're gonna possibly show a little bit more. Let's see what the other picture. Yeah, so Tory was doing his thing with Meg the Stallion. And everybody knows Meg the Stallion. SA, run another picture. So Tory and Meg, they've been getting it in. Run back to that Tory and Meg photo. Tory and Meg, they've been getting it in. And yeah, that one previous one. Getting it in. And also, Tory's been kind of like creeping around with the other friend. The other friend, her name is slips my mind. I think her name's Who the Hell Cares? But anyway, he was sleeping with that chick and he was sleeping with Meg. And the thing about it is, once you're doing that, bro, you banging on two different chicks or whatever, bro. Come on, man. You gotta make sure that these women have distance, man. It's 6 degrees of separation. You know what I mean? That's what we call it. 6 degrees of separation, my G. Right, right. Um, they gotta at least be on the other side of town. You know what I'm saying? You do your research. Make sure they're on the other side of town. Make sure they don't have the same type. Their friends don't connect. It has to be 6 degrees of separation. But this young man did not follow that code. So if you don't follow the code, you don't need to go down the road. All right. Okay. Because there's emotions involved, and women are super emotional, and we're dealing with emotions and money and power. Okay. So let's keep it real. Tory does really, really well in in music. Meg has a bigger outlook behind her. Meg has a bigger engine behind her. Excuse me. Meg's with Rock Nation. Meg's with Rock Nation. She also has relationships with people like Kevin Lyles, people like that, Jay-Z, people like that. So if there's a problem and you're dealing with powerful people like that, typically they do the sensible thing and alleviate the problem. Not just move it out the way. No, 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 no. We're going to alleviate the problem. So the dummy move was for you to, yeah, you was fucking on her friend, boom, boom, boom. We get that. But the dummy move was for you to pull out a gun in California, Vegas or whatever, but California, if I'm not mistaken, and shoot at this young lady's feet. I don't know how they do it in Canada, but we typically get in trouble for shooting at bitches in America. I didn't make the rules, but that's typically what happens. So you shot at Meg Thee Stallion, who was a rising star. She's all over the place. Okay. All over the place. You couldn't cut on the television without seeing Meg Thee Stallion. Hell, I thought even saw her on a McDonald's commercial.
Yeah.
You don't shoot people like that. Those are the people you don't shoot. All right. Those are the people that you do not shoot. All right. So the judge came back with the jury came back with the verdict, and the judge read it out. And turns out that they gave Tory Lanez 10 years in prison behind discharging a weapon and the assault with a deadly weapon. Here's the thing. The bullet could have hit the ground in a weird angle and shot her higher than the feet. You could have shot her in the thigh and killed her. You could have shot her in the calf muscle and killed her. A simple blood clot. Done. Finished. So yeah, I definitely understand why they made the punishment so severe. Because, bro, you could have killed her. Yeah, I understand you were upset, this, that, and the third thing, but isn't there any other ways to handle it? Has anyone in this generation heard of the word de-escalation? Is there anyone who knows how to de-escalate a problem nowadays? Because if there's not, there's going to be a bigger problem than you already have. Check it. The old man knows how to de-escalate problems. I've been surfing this thing for a while. I'll just hang 10 the other way, you know? And that's what Tory should have did. That's what Tory should have did. So yeah, we'll still have access to his music, and I'm sure as time goes on, he'll have access to some kind of recording situation, put out a song here and there. He's already been in prison, I mean in jail now for about a year. So let's say, it's 85%, that's the law. So let's say that's eight, let's say that's 8.5 for 85% of 10. Then he's done a year, that's 7.5. And then there's a bunch of programs and he could work and so forth and so on. So that thing could be knocked down to something like 6.5.
I'm about to say he'll be out in 6 or 7.
But either way, bro, that's 6.5 years of your life. Do you know how many decisions I make in a day? Let alone 6.5 years. Do you know how many places I travel in the course of one day? I couldn't imagine just being stuck in one spot for 6.5 years. Make better decisions, young people. Make better decisions. I'll try to do the same. Who we got next, SA?
Man, you know all about these coming up. Starting here.
Now, let's crack the walnut open and dig into these treats. I don't know if everyone's familiar with this gentleman right here. If you're not, this brother right here is the world-renowned Alpo Martinez. If you've seen Paid in Full, the movie, then you're familiar with who Alpo is. He was played by Cameron in that movie. As a matter of fact, he's a Harlem. I'd call it a Harlem folk tale. Straight killer, snitch, womanizer. If you saw this brother right here during the time when he was roaming the streets, and you ran across him, and you're in the same line of work he's in, bro, you had a problem. Bro, you had a serious problem. Okay. The thing is, this brother right here, man, I don't know if you guys know the story, but it was him, AZ, and Rich Porter. Those were the three friends. And they were doing a lot of hustling up in Harlem. And, they were really making a lot of money, a lot of money together. So, and they were the boys. Like they had the BMWs with the BBs. They had they had everything, bro. The motorcycles back in the days, the four-wheelers, back when we could only imagine shit like that. They were the street. They was the street legends. You know what I mean? Rich Porter had a good heart, bro. He would look out for people. Bum bum bum. Alpo was more of a more of a manipulator. He just kept the stuff moving. He stayed on something. He stayed on something different. Stayed on something different. Well, the story goes, people were putting pressure on Rich Porter, and because of his dope prices, so forth and so on. And Rich was looking out for the neighborhood. Rich put all of them on. Really, AZ had the hook up, with the dope. And AZ is the one who basically turned them on to the dope, and then they capitalized because of who they were. Alpo got a little greedy. Alpo wanted a little more. So, man, Alpo turns and takes a little something from Rich, or if I'm not mistaken. They put the pressure on Rich, kidnapped his brother. His uncle, was a dope head. His uncle saw all of the money, saw all of the moves, kidnapped this little wrong picture, pulled Demencio off.
Oh shit.
Let's go back to Rich and Alpo. Let's hold Rich and Alpo up there.
I wasn't even seeing it.
We'll get into Demencio next. Yeah, that's a good picture right there. So what happened was the uncle set it up as if there were people, coming after Rich. And the uncle actually took his brother, kidnapped Rich's little brother, who was his nephew. Took him somewhere undisclosed, and this uncle was actually living with them, bro. So he took him somewhere undisclosed and held him for ransom, send Rich the letters and all of that, and go back home, act like ain't nothing happened. Act like, he's surprised just like everyone else. He sent some proof that the young man was in their custody, and he sends a finger, cuts off the young man's finger and mails it to the house, sends it to the house. No, as a matter of fact, I think he sent it somewhere and they had to go get it, and it was the young man's finger. So then Rich went and dropped off the money. Was going to drop off the money. But as he was going to drop off the money, he ran into a thirsty Alpo. Alpo had already been cutting the dope, putting it in different packaging, selling it, doing all types of ill shit. So, Rich wanted to holler at him about it. Turns out that Alpo evidently wanted to holler at Rich about some things. Pow! Shot him dead. One of his best friend. Shot him dead. Took the bag. Days later, the young man Rich Porter's brother, turns up dead. AZ gets attacked. His house gets robbed. 3 or 4 people in his house get killed. He gets shot up, left for dead. Just a real horrible, horrible story. Now, they made a movie out of it, and it's called Paid in Full. For all of you younger people who hadn't seen the movie or aren't abreast of the story of what took place here, check that movie out. It's called Paid in Full. And if you don't want to watch the whole movie, just go onto your YouTube and type in Alpo and Rich Porter. And you'll see the story a little, you'll get in depth to the story a little more. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. Crazy. But there's also a message in that, about people who calling you their brother, calling you their homie, say they're gonna slide for you, ride for you, all of this stuff. Young people, look, the main thing you need your friends to do is just be your friends. Just listen from time to time. Hell, let's go fishing. Yeah, roll up a blunt, go fishing. Or just sit and talk about what you guys can do. Change the narrative. Change the narrative. Now, I saw some stuff in Alabama that for a moment it disturbed me.
Uh-oh. You're muted. Check your mute button.
Am I back?
Yeah. You're good.
Yeah, my browser took it for some reason. Let's unplug the charger here. Maybe it's too much going on at once. How's that?
Exactly, yeah. Oh yeah, it's good.
Okay, it's a little choppy on the video, but we're gonna keep rolling through.
Oh, you look clear on this end.
Okay, cool. So, I believe I left off with um, you guys in the friend thing. You know, um, if you can't build with the person, how you keeping it real with the person? Who we got next, SA?
This one, the one I accidentally pulled up earlier.
Demencio. Demencio. Demencio Benson. He was another what we call nowadays hot boys. You know, he was pretty big on the streets back then. Very, very popular person. Ladies' man, of course. Um, and he was doing, just as much as Rich and the guys were doing. But he was in Brooklyn, if I'm not mistaken. He was in Brooklyn. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, you guys tap into the comments and let me know. Okay, so you know, the thing is, there was some kind of I hear feedback. You hear feedback, SA?
Oh yeah, that's me. I'm searching more images.
Well, I
Can
can hear myself actually.
Oh, okay. I can't hear
So
that. You sound very clear.
okay. So Alpo meets up with Demencio at the basketball court, challenges him to a basketball game. Demencio athletic, not scared of nobody. He was like, let's do it. Instead of shooting the first shot, Alpo shot the first shot. And that first shot was a shot to the head of Demencio. Killed him right there on the basketball court.
Mm.
Now, back in these days, these brothers was movers and shakers. This is the 80s, mind you. This is the 80s. These guys were shining before there was shining. They were blinging before there was a bling bling. So, this is a super duper duper tough time in New York. You had to really have your shit together if you're gonna play in the streets. So that's why we tapped into this. Um, we're gonna dig into it a little more. These people were loosely connected, and I'll show you how soon. Pull up the next pick essay.
Oh, ending it on a good note, like you said, man. Iron Mike, Big Mike.
Okay, so but here's the thing though. We are gonna end it on a good note. But like I was saying, all of these people are connected. All of these people are connected. These people ran around when Mike was running around.
Oh,
Okay.
I got a picture of that.
Mike is super familiar with these people. But what I want to do with this whole Mike thing is not hark on a negative because we like to end it on a positive on Checkmate. We're going to commend Mike for turning his life around because this brother was street. This brother was doing all the robberies. This brother was doing the crimes. Mike was really, really, really a menace out there until he got in the ring and became a menace in the ring. He changed his life. We saw it up close and personal. We saw this man go to prison. We saw this man on who knows what kind of drugs. We saw this man drunk out of his mind. We've heard this man make misogynistic comments. We heard this man make gay phobic comments. We've seen Mike grow. So let's use that as a motivating tool for everybody who's in a place right now that they don't necessarily want to be. You can grow. You can. It just takes a little work daily, every day, even if it's just a little bit every day. And there's some people out here who just like they're working, they're concerned about how much money they make. And you know, everybody can't be rich. I wish I could be rich right now, just like you. But the thing is, I came up with this. Tell me if I may be off, but I don't think I am. It's not about how much money you make. It's about how often you make it. So if I made a little bit of money every 20 minutes, am I making a lot of money? If I get $5 every 5 minutes, am I getting $5? You can bag on me about getting $5, but I'm getting $5 every 5 minutes, right? So it's about how often you make the money. It ain't about how much you make. Don't get wrapped up in that. Don't get wrapped up in that because that's a discouraging thing, you know? You could turn on the radio and listen to how much some of these athletes make, and it can make you just want to go home and get into bed. Don't do it. Just stay at what you're doing as much as possible. If you have free time, do a little more. It'll work out. Your rich might not look like they rich, but you rich. This is episode 10 of Checkmate. Y'all dwell on that.